burn, burn, burn. It's caveman TV, that's what they do. Wood that does burn and wood that doesn't burn. Today on In the Woodyard, we're talking about 5 kinds of highly underrated firewood. We're gonna talk about it right now. So today I have a delivery for mixed hardwood going to a good customer, very good customer. He buys a lot of wood from me. He buys 1 face cord or 1/3 of a cord at a time. It is always mixed hardwood. It's campfire wood. And he told me, he said, all I want is good, dry wood that burns now. I've been selling wood to this guy for several years, and he has 2 houses, and he buys from me probably in the neighborhood of 4 full cords a year. And it's all for campfire wood. They sit outside almost every night and have a fire. He goes through wood pretty much 1/3 of a cord every 2 weeks, and then he gets another one, and then he gets another one, and then he gets another one. And then their other house, it's an Airbnb, and they supply wood there, and so people burn wood. So he buys a lot of wood from me. Now, the reason I came up with this today is because I have had great discussions with a lot of people about firewood and what's the best. Because there's a big, huge argument about, you know, whatever wood a particular person has, they think it's the best because it's what they've always burned and it's the best. Or if they have just a certain kind of wood in their area and that's all they've ever burned and their dad has only ever burned and their grandpa and great-grandpa and great-grandpa going back 20 generations, that's all they've ever burned because they live in the same property and all they have is white oak or red oak and they think that's the best. And in their area, it probably is. But there's a lot of kinds of wood that are underrated highly, especially when it comes to campfire wood. Now, I am not talking about the highest BTU burning wood for heating purposes. This is campfire wood. This is stuff that people sit by and relax, read, drink, whatever it is they're doing, entertain their guests, relatives, friends. They're sitting by a fire relaxing, which I do a lot of. And a lot of this wood that I'm going to mention today is wood that normally people that heat with wood would turn their nose up to. They would be what we call wood snobs. They would like, I would never burn that. Why would you waste your time cutting that? It's because people will pay me for it, that's why. Now, these kinds of wood, the 5 different kinds, are what I would consider not high level, but they're not the worst. But they're kind of mid-grade wood. Now, the number one reason a lot of these woods are really good wood is they're available widely. A lot of places have this and it's easy to get. It's easy to source. A lot of people will just give it away or they think it's a trash tree because they don't want it because it's not good enough for them. And yes, I can understand if you're heating with wood, you want the wood with the highest amount of BTUs being output for what you're burning. So if you're putting in wood into a wood stove or a boiler or your fireplace and you're doing it just for heat, yeah, you're probably going to want wood that's some of the best stuff you can get. But if you're burning just for fun, this is great wood. And it's highly underrated because there's a lot of wood snobs, a lot of people that think their wood is the best. They think their hickory is the best. They think their Osage orange is the best. They think their almond wood is the best. They think their live oak is the best. They think their white oak is the best. They think their ironwood is the best. They think whatever they have is the best. And those are great woods, no doubt. But they are in the upper range of producing heat. But if you're sitting out in the backyard by a fire pit in the middle of summer with your shorts on and a tank top and a cold drink in your hand, do you really want a lot of heat? Probably not. You're just enjoying the fire. You're burning some marshmallows. The kids are burning some weenies. You know, you're consuming some adult beverages. You're having fun. So you do not need the highest output wood. And the highest output wood, which is your nut producing trees and your fruitwood trees in general. Those trees burn very slow. They burn hot, but they burn very slow and they don't have a lot of flames because they are very dense, compact energy source type wood. So they burn slow with low flames. Now when I'm sitting out by the fire, I want a roaring flame. I want a flame so good that it lights everybody up that we're sitting outside at night. I don't want it to be the light. I don't want to have to turn on a light just so I can say, oh yeah, the fire's still going. Look at that. There's something's happening there. I want flames. And this wood produces a lot of flames. So let's talk about these kinds of wood. The first and most important thing is that all wood burns. Like I said, this wood is widely available. It's everywhere for me. For you, it might not be. But these are kinds that get overlooked all the time. This wood is very easy to cut. It's fairly easy to split. It's not like trying to split elm or live oak or something that does not like to come apart. Wet cottonwood that's all full of knots. It's very hard to split. This is not one of the kinds of wood. Another thing, it dries very fast. This is easy to produce wood. It dries real fast. This is important. It burns great. Lots of flames. That's a good thing. It produces lots of flames because it burns faster, it burns hotter, it burns higher. It burns great. That is a good thing when it comes to campfire wood. So like I said, this is not long-lasting heating wood. This is fun wood. This is what most of the people I sell to do with the wood. They sit by it and watch it burn. They entertain themselves. It's caveman TV, that's what they do. So first of all, I want to mention this before we get into the kinds of wood. Most people do not know kinds of wood. The people I deliver to, I would say 1 out of 5 knows their wood, kind of. You know, they can tell the difference between oak and pine. I would say 4 of the 5 people I deliver to, when I dump it out, I'll pull out, they'll even ask me, like, well, like, what kind of wood is this? And say this particular person will order a mixture of stuff and they want to know what's in it. I say, well, you're going to probably have some hard maple in here, some soft maple, you might have some ash, there might be some oak in there, there might be some walnut, there might be some hickory, there could be some ironwood, there could be all kinds of different stuff. So what I will do sometimes is I will pull it out and I will show them. They go, well, I guess it doesn't really matter because I'm not going to remember that, and as long as it burns, I don't care. So I get that a lot. So a lot of the people I sell to do not know their kinds of wood, other than wood that does burn and wood that doesn't burn. That's kind of it. Some people can tell the difference between hardwood and softwood, which is basically deciduous trees, which is hardwood, and softwood, which is pine. They can tell the difference sometimes, but not always. So we're going to start out with number 5. And I'm not saying that there aren't other kinds that are similar to these kinds of wood that you might have in your area, but these are the 5 that I would say in my area are the ones that are kind of by the wood snobs, the people that heat with wood, they're frowned upon. These are the ones where they go, oh, that's not great wood. Well, it still burns, it's still good wood. So number 5, walnut. Walnut is a mid-range heat wood. It's okay. It's not a fantastic wood. I don't get a lot of it, but it's not super great wood. It's just okay wood. It's mid-range BTUs, but like all of these kinds of wood I'm going to mention here, it cuts easy, it splits easy, it dries great, it burns nice. Those 4 things, really all that matters. Number 4, soft maple. Soft maple, again, mid-range, maybe a little on the upper range wood. It's not as good as the stuff you see back here. This is hard maple. Soft maple is kind of frowned upon in the heating community because it's not as good as oak. It's not as good as hard maple. It's not as good as hickory. It's not as good as Osage orange. It's not as good as, say, elm. It's not as good as ironwood. It's not a super high. Locust is another one. Locust, very high output wood as far as heat. But soft maple burns really nice. And that brings up number 3. It's a member of the maple family. Also, kind of soft. Very similar in BTUs to soft maple, and that is box elder. Now, box elder, a lot of people go, oh, that's a trash tree, because it grows everywhere and it grows crooked and horizontally and leans out. It grows all over the place, but there's a lot of it, especially fence lines. If you look at farms, you'll see a lot of box elder, or you'll see it in areas where it's not a woods that's been planted. It kind of just grows wherever. It's a fast growing tree. Like I said, it's available. You can get a lot of it. People want it gone, so it's widely available. It cuts easy, splits pretty good, dries really fast, burns great, box elder. And the reason box elder I bring it up is because that's one of the trees that everybody really poo-poos. I have a good friend of mine that lives in an area where he's got all oaks, and I cut his wood for him. I fill his wood shed. He can't do it, but I help him out, and so I do that. And one time I happened to have, I think I had maybe 1/3 of a cord in my trailer, and I was going to be going there, and I knew that the wood that we had just cut wasn't quite dry yet for his property. So I took it along and I put it, he says, what's that there? I said, well, it's some wood that's really dry, it'll burn great. He said, well, it's not oak, is it? I said, no, but it'll burn good. So that night I made a fire at his fireplace, and we were sitting there watching a movie, relaxing, And I put the box elder in. It was burning great, and he picked it up, puts it in. He says, "Well, what is this?" He says, "This stuff burns great in the fireplace." I said, "Yeah, it's box elder." He goes, "Box elder?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "I can't believe this stuff really burns good." I said, "Yeah, I know. It burns great, but it's not a high BTU wood, but it burns good." Number 2, aspen or poplar. Not even as high of a BTU as box elder or soft maple. It's even lower yet, but there's a lot of it. Fast growing tree, cuts super easy. It's easy to get. It's everywhere. Around here it is anyway. I know it is out west. There's a lot of popple, aspen. But it cuts easy, splits easy, dries easy, burns good. It burns fast, and yeah, it doesn't have a lot of BTUs. It's below mid-range, but it burns. And for campfire wood, it's awesome. Like I said, a lot of it, easy to get, easy to cut, easy to split, dries fast, burns great. And number one, by now those of you that have watched my channel quite often know what number 1 is. It is pine. Pine is fine for campfire wood. It just is. Now, when I say pine, I mean all the evergreen trees. So that means everything from hemlock to cedar. Hemlock is a good wood, pretty good heat out of it, all the way to cedar, which is very low heat, burns very fast, very low BTUs, and then everything in between, which I would consider to be the 3 kinds of pine we have here in my state, in Wisconsin. We have white pine, lots of it. We have red pine, lots of it. We have jack pine, lots of it. Those are the 3 kinds of native pines that we have. And then in addition to those, besides the cedar and the hemlock, I would also add in to those larch, which is also called tamarack. That's a real good heating wood, but that's kind of a weird tree. Some people say it's a hardwood, some people say it's a softwood. It loses its leaves every year like a deciduous tree would do, but yet it's green, but it's got needles on it, and it's kind of got some sap on it, so it's a weird tree, but it's good firewood. Along with that, I would add in any junipers. I would add in any spruce trees, whether it's black spruce or white spruce or blue spruce. Spruce is not technically a pine, it's spruce, different species, but it's an evergreen. And in some areas, Alaska, some parts of Canada, they have 2 kinds of wood. They have spruce and they have birch. Now birch is not on the list because in a lot of areas, birch is the best wood people have. And birch is a good firewood. It's not great, it's not high BTUs, but it's a good wood. So that's not on the list because that's kind of considered one of the pretty woods that's nice to have. We got number 5, which was the walnut. Number 4 was the soft maple. Number 3 was box elder. Number 2 was aspen. Number 1, pine is fine. The nice thing about pine, if you want a big roaring fire with lots of excitement, snap, crackle, pop, embers flying out, children running for their lives, women screaming, save me, I'm on fire. That's the fun stuff. And it smells fantastic when you're burning it. We're gonna go load some wood right now. We got a delivery to do. Okay, so I just dug through the bin here and I went to another area and I found some different kinds of wood here. I'm gonna show you what we got here. So here's the number 5. This is walnut. That's the bark. That's what it looks like inside. It's got like a white stripe here, a white layer, and then it's dark walnut. The next one is soft maple. Here's soft maple bark from a bigger chunk. Here's soft maple from a branch. You can see how it changes, but that is the inside. Here's the inside soft maple. Very nice campfire wood. Here is box elder. That's box elder, and that's what it looks like. So again, these might not be prime examples, but that's what it is. Next one, we have aspen. You can see by the bark, it's got that smooth bark. There it is, aspen. So those are the hardwoods that are kind of the underrated ones. And then we go over to what I would call the evergreens or the softwoods. Okay, so here we go. This is the pine. I have the 3 kinds of pine in the middle here that are the ones that we have in our state. So we have red pine, we have jack pine, and we have white pine. So those are the 3 kinds of pines that we have. And then over here, I have a piece of spruce, which is not a pine, but it is an evergreen. And then way down over here, I have a piece of cedar. So these are what I would call the fun wood, the ones that snap, crackle, pop, lots of sparks, lots of fun. There they are. All right, we're gonna toss all this stuff into the trailer and then we're gonna take a bunch of that stuff, we're gonna put it in the trailer, we're gonna put in 1/3 of a cord right now. Look at that, there it is, a load of wood. Some of you that aren't familiar with the channel might be saying to yourself, well, how do I know how much wood is in there? I don't. But I do know that it's more than 1/3 of a cord, and that's all that matters. I do not stack wood unless people pay me to do it. At least I try not to. But there's 1/3 of a cord or a face cord or rick or rink or row of truckload, whatever you like to call it in your area. Everybody has different names for it. But as I was throwing it in here, I found that there was probably the majority of the wood in here is either going to be ash, soft maple, there was elm, and box elder. Those were the 4 kinds I saw the most. There was a few pieces of aspen, not too many. A few pieces of oak I saw. There was a piece of apple wood. So it's just mixed hardwood. It's a bunch of different stuff, but that's what's in here. This stuff is all over a year old. I guarantee you he will be very happy. He will order more because this is what I deliver to him. He said it burns fantastic, better than any of the wood they ever had because it's dry wood, and in a campfire, it's awesome wood. Down the road we go.